How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do a photography tutorial.
This is going to be a comprehensive review. My name's Tiffen.
Shut up!
So when you're doing product photography, one of the most important things about the whole process is making sure the logos and the branding shows up. Now, I'm going to show you how I did in a pair of sneakers. Normally, the silhouette of the sneakers are very synonymous with the brand, but you know, there are tiny logos here and there that you could also accentuate a little bit to make sure that that comes in through well. So the first thing I'm gonna do is drag it into Photoshop and start filling in like the the blank spaces. Now if you want an in-depth tutorial of how I do this with backdrops and extend backdrops, there's a very good tutorial I did with mobile photography. So if you're using your phone, you can go and check that out as well. It's about setting up your backdrop and filling in the spaces using content aware fill to drag out these backdrops and make your background a little bit cleaner. So go check it out. Ooh, that's the first time I've done that. But yeah, go ahead and clean up the image a bit. Start dragging, making selections. I'll give you a quick blowout of it. Just make your selections using the selection tool. Go on to edit and basically click on content aware fill. So once you hit on content aware fill, you can sample whatever areas that you want to sample and extend your background and hit apply and okay. It's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. But there's a bigger cleanup process I'm doing really fast just for the sake of this tutorial. But once you do have that, you can start merging the two in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I crop it according to whatever social platform I need. So usually Instagram, it's 4:5, which is a good aspect ratio. So I'm going to go ahead, get my composition right and go and crop it out. Once I crop out the image, obviously this is an old pair and it looks a little dirty, and there's colors that are bleeding in, like the green and the blue are bleeding or hitting the shoe. So we need to clean that up. So the real quick way to do this is it works only if you have a black and a white shoe, right? So the thing you need to do is go and right click on this icon at the bottom and go and select solid color or solid layer, and then select a black layer and hit OK, right? So the first thing you need to do is go ahead and change the blending mode to color. Once you hit the blending mode into color, everything is going to turn black and white. What you need to do next is make sure that the mask area, so when you introduce a solid layer, you're going to see the solid color and then the mask panel right next to it, right, which is right now white, which means everything on this image is going to reflect that color. So what you need to do is quickly paint the entire thing black. So what I would do is usually select the brush tool, select the black color and paint over it, or I would just hit Alt Delete. That's a quick way to just paint everything that's on your image. So make sure you select the mask layer and hit Alt Delete while you have the black color selected on the left, and it just removes the black layer altogether. So now you can see the entire panel is black. There's nothing reflected on the image. So yeah, select the black, select your entire shoe there. Using W, or you go to quick selection tool on the panel. Once you have everything selected, make sure you're selecting the mask panel, because again in the solid layer there's a mask panel and then there's a color panel. Select the mask panel and then change the color to white and hit Alt Delete, or just paint over the shoe, and you're going to immediately see that the shoe is turned monochrome. The color that's reflecting at the bottom of the shoe is removed, so you're going to have like a real black or white shoe there, and the bit of the muddy dirty bits at the sole also get slightly cleaned up. The cuff marks are going to be there. You can keep it, you can remove it, depends on your preference. I'm going to keep it because so as you can see, there are some parts here that where the black has bled through, so I'm using the selection tool and the pen and selecting that area out. Also, if you don't know the pen tool, go and check out my tutorial that I mentioned before. There's an in-depth tutorial of how I use the pen tool to make selections, and just paint out all the areas that you don't want this black solid to reflect on, because the whole point is we're trying to make the color consistent. We're shooting a black shoe. We want to make sure that none of the colors in the background get washed onto the shoe because of reflections and light bouncing off and stuff like that. So you can see a clear difference when you switch it on and off, like the layer. You're gonna see the color getting really cleaned up on the shoe, and the shoe also kind of gets like a virtual wash. Like I said before, you can clean the soles if you want to, or you can leave them. Now the most interesting part is that logo on the bottom of the shoe, right? You want to make that stand out. Right now it's kind of getting, you know, like hidden in, and because of the, you know, the 4 years I've had this shoe, it's worn and torn off, and you know, it's not very prominent. So, you know, this is the interesting part. The way you do this is you add a solid white layer, right? Stay with me. I know you're gonna be a little confused. So once you add a solid white layer, again, the whole thing is gonna get washed out with white. But like I said before, select the mask layer. You have the solid color on one side, and then you have the mask layer on the other side. So select the mask, and what you're gonna do is make sure you go to the color selection tool on the left hand side, or wherever you place that tool, and hit Alt Delete whilst you're selecting black. So once you select black and paint over everything on black, the white color disappears, right? So now what you need to do is draw out the logo using the pen tool, right? Once you draw the logo part by part. So let me quickly do that for you. What you need to do next is go onto the parts window that's right next to the layer and the channel window on the right hand side of your, you know, workspace. It could be somewhere else, but if you can't find it, go to window and just add the parts layer. Once you go onto the parts layer, there'll be one box there that says work part. Just hold control down and click on it, and you're gonna get the running ants, right? I've spoken about the running ants so many times. You know, it's a staple of Photoshop, right? Once you have that, change the color back to white. You can either hit X or go and click that, open the color tool and change it back to white, and hit Alt Delete. And you're gonna see, okay, when you zoom in, it looks a little weird, right? There's like a blob of white there. But let me show you what happens when you trace the entire logo out and do this, right? So let me quickly do that for you. And you know, usually lettering is like the most tricky part to do. Like, you have to take your time here a bit. Again, this is the most crucial part of product photography, making sure the logo stands out. So you have to get it right. So, you know, trace out the lettering, trace out the logo. Once you have all of that sorted, just like that, when you're done with the last letter, now it's zoomed in, it looks a little weird, right? You can mess around with the opacity to make sure how much you want it to stand out, but as soon as you zoom out to the entire product, you are going to see an amazing difference, right? It literally, like, you know, it's like a light, or like it's like the logo is glowing through everything, and it makes it very distinct. You know, the silhouette of the shoe is synonymous with the brand, and also you're reinforcing that with the logo that, you know, everybody recognizes, right? So yeah, that's how I make logos stand out. It's something rookies kind of miss out when they're doing product photography. The picture's amazing, you know the silhouettes, and you know the product is, you know, flawless. But when you focus, like, the logo doesn't stand out as soon as you look at it. So, you know, tiny things to think about. Yeah, okay. So I hope this was helpful. I'll catch you in the next one. I haven't done that in such a long time. One last one for good measure.
You go, I'm dying to hold ya. And I hate when you call and I hold you close like I know it's already over. Maybe it's you, maybe it's me. Wish I could work it out.